Hi everyone, I'm Molly and welcome to Goody Goody Gumdrops. Today I am making another kind of candy. I'm going to make fudge. And once again, this has very simple ingredients, and it's all about the way that you cook them. So I have milk in this cup, vanilla, half a stick of butter, cocoa powder, sugar, and salt. That's it. So in this medium saucepan, I'm going to put 3 cups of sugar, that should be fine, that was only a minor spill. One cup of cocoa powder, so it's the rest of my cocoa powder. And in this cup, I have pre-measured 1.5 cup of milk I'm going to add. But first, I need to add just a tiny bit of salt. I'm going to add 1/8 of a teaspoon, but for some reason, my 1/8 cups and teaspoons become missing, and I cannot find my 1/8 of a teaspoon. So I'm going to eyeball this as 1/2 of 1/8 of a teaspoon, or 1/2 of a quarter, sorry, and that will make an 1/8. I'm going to add that. And now once you have these 3 dry ingredients, stir them together. This will make the whole process easier. Okay, once you have this all combined, add your 1.5 cup of milk. Mix this in. Okay, once you have that combined, turn your burner on to medium and bring it up to a full boil while you're constantly mixing. So you cannot stop mixing. Once you turn the heat on, you have to stand here and stir constantly. Maybe you could get someone to take turns with you, but if you stop, it will mess up the whole thing and the chocolate will burn and stuff, and it will not be good. It has to be constantly moving, and this is what makes this a more difficult recipe, because there is a lot of physical labor to making this fudge, but I promise you it is definitely worth it. Okay, so I've been standing here for probably a good 5 minutes, and I wanted to show you my stirring technique. It's about to come up to a boil right now, so you don't want to constantly stir in a circle. You might think this is, a simple way to stir, but you're actually neglecting the center and you'll get a burn spot. So you want to mix it up and stir back and forth like this. And then maybe go the other way. That's how I do it. Alright, so this is a full boil. So now what you're going to do is turn your heat down to low and put your candy thermometer in and let it boil until it gets up to 230 degrees Fahrenheit. So just like the last candy that I made, it's not about the ingredients but the temperature that you cook them to. So it's about temperature control. If you cook it too cold, or if you don't get it hot enough, it's not going to be fudge. If you cook it too hot, it's not going to be fudge. So it has to be at the perfect temperature when you take it off of the heat. Alright, so when this is ready, I will be back to show you what you do next. So right now, this is at the temperature of jelly, and it's going to stay there for a long time before it starts to heat. And you may be tempted to take it off and say it's done. It's not going to be done, and what you're going to end up with is some nice syrup that you can put on top of ice cream or whatever you want. So if you want that, this is when you would stop. But we're making fudge, so normally if you're working with just sugar, or if you saw the seafoam candy episode, I said you don't want it to be bubbled up like this. And because you're working with chocolate, you do want it to bubble up like this. This is normal. It oxygenates itself like this, and it ends up condensing down later, which I will show you. So if you're ever working with just regular sugar, caramel, you're making sugar candy or caramel, you don't want that volume. It's going to burn and get too hot too fast. With chocolate, it's different. It does this. So I will be back to show you when it's ready to come off of the heat, what it looks like. Okay, this has come up to temperature. As you can see, it has decreased in mass, and you can also tell, just like the seafoam candy, by dropping some of it off of a spoon into a cup of water. So it's supposed to be at the soft ball stage. And you can see what it looks like as it's flowing through. If you just get like one little drop, you can see them coming down. So now, what you're going to do now, sorry for the bad camera work, but you're going to turn off the heat and remove it from the stove. And now you're going to add the butter and the vanilla. So you have half a stick of butter, which I allowed to come up to room temperature. And I'm going to add that in here. And I'm going to add a teaspoon of vanilla. It just disappeared in there, but trust me, it's in there. And then 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. You don't want to use the imitation for this, you want to use the good stuff. Oh, now you can see the butter in there. So you're going to let this sit for just a few minutes. The whole process of boiling took about a half hour, so you really have to be patient with it. You might want to just take it off the heat, but if it's not hot enough, like I said before, it's not going to come out right. So let this sit for just a minute to cool down, and then you are going to beat it with a wooden spoon or spatula to get it to come up to the right consistency, and then I'll pour it into a pan. So this is what beating it looks like. So you're going to do this, which is, you're going to probably want to share the labor with somebody. It's very difficult. This is the hardest part of it. It's a labor-intense candy. So tilt your pan on an angle, makes it much easier. Or you can turn off the camera now. Okay, this is starting to thicken up, and I could not do this by myself. I had to have somebody else help me. Look, this is pretty thick. So it's almost ready to go into the pan. It's ready to pour into the pan. I have a 8x8 inch pan. You could use a 9x9 if you want. You want to make sure that you beat this to the right consistency. If you do it too much, your fudge will be gritty and sugary. If you don't do it enough, it won't harden and set. So as you can see, this is very, very thick. Just going to try and scrape the rest of this out, and then I'm going to put it in the refrigerator to set, and I will show you what it looks like when we cut a piece. Okay, the reason why I had you put this in the refrigerator is because when it comes out, you just flip it upside down and it just pops right out. So now I'm going to just cut it into squares. And you can store this at room temperature. It's falling apart. You don't have to store it in the refrigerator. Kind of breaking into its own pieces because it's cold. That's okay. Here is the finished fudge. So store this at room temperature in a tightly concealed, sorry, not concealed, in a tightly sealed container. And one more thing, for your pan, it's going to be really like dirty and you might think like, I'm just going to throw this away. If you just take it and put it in the sink and fill it up with hot water and let that sit, and then when the water gets cold, just keep putting more hot water in there. It will melt the chocolate and make it much easier to clean. So if you did enjoy this video, don't forget to subscribe, share, and like, and come back for more goodies, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye! I forgot to eat some. I'm back. You thought it was over, but no, I always try the food at the end. This is very good. And it has a different consistency of fudge that you would buy at the store, so it's not as gooey. Like if you go to a fudge shop, it's usually really soft and kind of gooey, and this kind of holds its own more. But it came out perfect, and it's very delicious. I suggest that you take the time and the effort, get a friend, and make some of this delicious fudge. Bye!